Alright guys, so I'm going to show you how I put braided fishing line on my reels. Might not be the right way, but it's the way I do it, and it's been working for me for years. So anyway, you know that braided fishing line can be very expensive. So you have the option of using some backing. You can use monofilament. It's fairly inexpensive, and because typically you only need, for your application, if you're bass fishing or whatever, you might only need 150 yards of braided line. I'm going to put 330 yards on this spool right here, and in 4 to 5 years, if I don't break it off and lose it, I will tie it to another reel and pull it off of this reel onto the next one, and that will put all this vibrant color back on the top where the sun's faded it and the water's, you know, turned it all dingy and all that stuff. But anyway, let's hop to it. I went ahead and ran it through the rod, and I use electrical tape. What that does, if you tie the braid straight to your spool, it's gonna slip because it has nothing to hold to, because that spool is slick and the braided line is slick. So you got to give it something to grab to. So I use some electric tape, and you can also take a Sharpie and write on there what kind of braided line you're using. You might use some Suffix or Power Pro, or you know, experiment with a couple of different ones. So if you do, you can write on there. That way, if you have, when you get down to the bottom of the spool, you'll know what kind of line that was. So I don't know how well you guys can see, but I've got my line right here, and now I'm going to loop it again around the spool. Like that, and then I'm just going to do an overhand knot right there in the tip of the line. Like so. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that tag off. And you've got your line right here that goes up through your level line, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to do an arbor knot, 2 overhand knots, 1 and then 1 more. Boom. So all I've tied is 3 overhand knots, 1 in the tip and then 2 right behind that. And so if you look right here where I've wrapped that line right here, it has crossed over this one. So when I tighten it down, the knot is going to tighten down over top of this line, and it's going to make it dig down into that electrical tape. So we'll get it all lined up. Cinch that thing down. And from right here, I'm going to put 2 little turns on it. And it ain't slipping. That's it. Alright, so whenever you're putting line on, whether it be monofilament or braided line. Now, braid doesn't have any memory, but I still do it anyway. You want it to come off of your spool as if it's going to come off your spool and go onto this spool. So typically your line is going to come off the top because this spool turns this way as well. So your line wants to come off the top, whether it's monofilament or braided line. So let's go ahead and get this thing all spooled up. Also, you want to pinch your line because you don't want to go on super, you want to be on fairly tight. Now when you're doing a 7,000 or something like that, it's going to take a while to put it all on there. Whew, finally got it all. So, let me show you what you don't do. If you can see where I've reeled all that line up there and it's actually touching this level line. Alright, that means there's too much line on there, plus you've got your outer edges. So, but, I put this much line on here because I don't like the way line sits when you first put it on. So what I'll do is I'll go out in the boat or go out on even in the yard or on a tall bridge, and I'll put me about a 3 or 4 ounce sinker on, and I'll let all the line back off, and I like to wet it and put it all back on. That's just what I like to do. And I still might have too much on here, but there's not enough line on the spool to do another reel, so I'd rather go ahead and leave too much on there than not have enough. But anyway, there's still right much line on there, but it's not enough to do a whole another big reels. But anyway, that's how I put my braided line on. And today we're trying out some of this Hercules line. We're gonna give it a shot and see how it does. It's fairly smooth. It's green, matches the reel. I've got a yellow spool, and I also have a camo spool, which I think I dropped in the yard. But we're going to try 2 spools of this, and then we've got some Power Pro and some of these spider wire. So anyway, we will see y'all later. Thanks for watching. Let him go if he wants to leave you. We're gonna let this big one go. 73 pounds. Yeah, my man.
Visit King's Catfishing on Facebook to book your next catfishing trip.